The observation deck of the Harmony's Promise offered a view of the Andromeda Nebula that would have made poets weep. Lyra didn't notice. She was too busy watching two small, furry bodies tumble across the reinforced floor plating, their chittering laughter echoing through the otherwise silent chamber. Kiko and Miro were Veltharan cubs, barely 3 solar cycles old, with silver-tipped fur and eyes like liquid amber. Their species had evolved on a world where survival meant moving as one, where the pack formation was sacred, instinctual, coded into their very DNA. When danger threatened, Veltharan young would lock their limbs together in an intricate lattice, becoming a single, armored unit that predators couldn't penetrate. It was beautiful. It was efficient. It had kept their species alive for millions of years. Lyra thought it was heartbreaking. Again! Kiko chirped, her translator collar rendering the high-pitched sounds into standard galactic. Show us the pack formation, Elder Lyra. The human woman smiled, crow's feet deepening at the corners of her eyes. At 43, she was ancient by Veltharan standards, though her species considered her barely middle-aged. She knelt on the deck, bringing herself to eye level with the cubs. How about we try something different today, she said softly. Miro's ears flattened against his skull, a sign of confusion among his kind. But the instructors said we must practice. The ship could be boarded. Pirates or Zereth raiders. We must be ready to defend. You're right, Lyra acknowledged. Being ready is important. But there's more than one way to be strong. She extended her right hand, palm open. The cubs stared at it with the same fascination they might show a quantum anomaly. Human hands were strange things to them, 5 digits instead of 4, no retractable claws, skin instead of fur. Vulnerable. Weak. On Earth, when we're scared or facing something difficult, we do this. Lyra reached out and gently took Kiko's small paw in her hand. The cub tensed but didn't pull away. Then Lyra offered her other hand to Miro, who sniffed it cautiously before allowing contact. We call it holding hands, Lyra explained. It's not armor. It's not a defensive formation. It's just connection. Kiko's whiskers twitched. But how does this protect us? It doesn't protect your body, Lyra said, her voice carrying that peculiar human warmth the cubs had learned to recognize. It protects something else. Something just as important. The Harmony's Promise was a colony ship, carrying refugees from 7 different species to a new world in the Outer Rim. The Veltharans had fled their homeworld when the corporate mining guilds stripped it bare, leaving nothing but dust and broken pack bonds. Kiko and Miro were orphans, like so many others aboard. Their parents had died in the final evacuation, crushed in a stampede when panic overtook order. The cubs had watched it happen. They'd been in perfect pack formation, locked with their family unit. They'd survived. But their parents hadn't. Lyra had found them 3 weeks later, still maintaining the formation in an empty cargo bay, too traumatized to unlock their limbs. She'd sat with them for 16 hours, speaking softly, offering water and nutrient paste, until finally Kiko's joints had released and she'd collapsed, sobbing, into the human's arms. My instructor says humans are weak, Miro said now, his tone not accusing but genuinely curious. That you have no natural weapons. No armor. No pack instincts. How did your species survive? Lyra laughed, not mockingly, but with real amusement. That's a fair question. We survived because we learned that being vulnerable together is stronger than being armored alone. She gently squeezed both their paws. When humans hold hands, we're saying I'm here. I see you. You're not alone. We're reminding each other that we matter. That someone cares if we fall. Kiko looked down at their joined hands. Her claws had retracted fully, something that only happened when Veltharans felt completely safe. But in pack formation, we are together. We are one unit. You are, Lyra agreed. But can you feel each other? Can you see each other's faces? Can you know if your packmate is scared or brave or sad or happy? The cubs were silent. In pack formation, they faced outward, always watching for threats. They never saw each other. They became armor, not family. Let me tell you a human story, Lyra said, settling more comfortably on the deck. The cubs instinctively moved closer, still holding her hands. A long time ago, my ancestors lived in caves. They had no fur to keep them warm. No claws to fight predators. No venom or camouflage or armor plating. By all logic, they should have died out. But they didn't, Miro said, his tail curling with interest. No, they didn't. Because when the night came and the predators howled outside the cave, they didn't lock themselves into defensive positions. They sat together. They held each other. They told stories and sang songs and reminded each other of their names. Lyra's eyes grew distant. They stayed human, even when being human meant being afraid. Kiko's voice was small. Were they brave? I think courage isn't about not being scared, Lyra said. It's about being scared and still choosing to feel it, not lock it away behind armor. The observation deck's warning lights flickered, a drill, most likely, or perhaps a minor course correction. Instantly, both cubs tensed. Miro's free paw reached for Kiko's, and Lyra saw the instinct take over. They were about to assume pack formation. Wait, she said gently. Just for a moment. Stay here with me. They trembled but obeyed. Lyra guided their paws together, forming a small circle with their 3 sets of hands. She could feel their rapid heartbeats through their paw pads. Feel that, she whispered. You're scared. I'm a little scared too. But we're here. We're holding on. We're not alone. The lights stabilized. The moment passed. Slowly, the cubs relaxed. This is strange, Kiko admitted. But, not bad. Miro's ears perked forward. Can we do both? Learn pack formation for real danger, but also learn hand-linking? Lyra's smile could have lit the nebula outside. I think that's the wisest thing I've heard all week. Over the following months, as the Harmony's Promise sailed toward its destination, something changed among the Veltherin cubs aboard. They still practiced their formations, their heritage deserved respect, and the skills might save lives. But afterward, they would gather in small groups, paws linked, talking about their fears and hopes and the parents they'd lost. The adult Veltherins watched with confusion that gradually transformed into something like wonder. Their instincts told them this hand-linking was wrong, dangerous, a weakness. But they couldn't deny that the cubs seemed lighter. Happier. More resilient in ways that had nothing to do with armor. When the colony ship finally reached New Velthera, Kiko and Miro were among the first to disembark. They stepped onto the purple grass of their new homeworld in perfect pack formation with their creshmates, a display of strength and unity that made their elders proud. But when the formation released and they turned back to wave goodbye to Lyra, still aboard the ship that would continue to other worlds, they did something unprecedented in Veltherin history. They held hands, and the human, watching from the viewport with tears streaming down her face, held her hand against the glass, a gesture. That meant nothing in tactical terms but everything in human ones: connection. Vulnerability. Love. The things that made humans weak were the very things that made them unstoppable. The cubs had learned pack formation from their ancestors. But from Lyra, they'd learned something that might just save their species in ways armor never could. They'd learned that sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is reach out your hand and let someone hold it. As the Harmony's Promise lifted away from New Velthera, Lyra whispered a prayer to whatever forces governed the universe. Let them remember. When the darkness comes, and it always comes, let them remember that they don't have to face it locked away from each other. Let them remember to hold hands. In the colony below, 2 small cubs looked up at the departing ship and held each other a little tighter.